Welcome, welcome. We are live and it is December 2021. How is that possible? I have no idea. But I am sparkly. I have like fancy earrings on because I don't really need a place or have a place to wear this to right now. So we're going to do it live instead, and it will just make me feel a little like celebrating of this year for what we can celebrate and acknowledge. So I'm trying to be sparkly because also I want to acknowledge right off the bat, I am from Michigan. I don't always tell everybody that, but I am from Michigan, and Oxford this week is by lots of different, oops, we're having trouble streaming to LinkedIn. This may be an issue on LinkedIn. We'll keep trying and let you know if it's resolved. Oh no, so I might not be streaming to LinkedIn right now. But that's okay. We'll just deal with it and still go live with it and make it happen and see what happens with it. But Oxford, I have a lot of family, friends, old colleagues that are involved in a lot of the communities, especially in Oakland County, but honestly, it's been extending beyond those counties in Michigan, and my heart is with you. We shouldn't just be afraid of that and what is happening. And for those that have lost their children, it doesn't get easier, but my heart is with you right now. So hence the sparkle, so that I don't get emotional about it. And we actually do cover what we're targeting to cover for today. Again, I don't have any idea if this is showing up on LinkedIn or not, but I will let it be and just still record it, and I'll upload it later if I have to. So my name is Trisha Broderick, and I'm from Ignite Insight and Innovation. And today we're going to talk about the true value of transparency and information radiators. Alistair Coburn coined the term information radiators, and before that, Kent Beck, and I think Martin Fowler had big visible charts and other dynamics to it. But it's a lot of people think of them as just ways to track status or to highlight metrics. But that's is sometimes a value and can be a value to some degree, but it's not the primary goal. It's not the primary value. And really, why I use information radiators the most is to help people come together to see a problem, to find a solution, right? Help me as a leader not just tell people what to do, but to shine a spotlight on something that may need to get addressed, may need to be dealt with within the team. And information radiators can be really powerful in kind of doing that. So I want to use two examples, one professional, one personal, and go through a little bit of what I used an information radiator to actually achieve it and to see what happened with it. So the first one, let me set the stage a little bit. The first one, I was a leader of a team, and I had two senior team members, kind of two like lead developers, come approach me and really complaining, just frustrated, just upset because they didn't feel like the rest of the team was stepping up and not doing as much work as they did. Now, old Trisha, OCD, checkmark needing, like control issue, Trisha, would have probably went, oh, we'll assign tasks, right? But leader, I wanted to go, how can I use something that will make it visible so that the team can see the problem? Now, in my head, I'm still thinking the other team members are not stepping up. I'm totally hearing the complaint, but I don't want to just say that, right? I'm not trying to do that. So here's what I did, and I'm going to show on this. Okay. So here's what I did. So I put up the team's names, and these are not the team members' names. They are changed for protection or privacy, whatever. And I put up the team names, and I just listed like they had just kind of gotten done or almost done with sprint planning. And so I listed out all the tasks for each person. And I just did that for each person. I printed it out because we were using a different tool, and I printed it out. And kept doing that, and I put it all up on a wall, and I just left the wall like this. And this was my information radiator. This was it. Like, and you really couldn't even read what the tasks were or anything like this. This was the visual. And my question at the end of sprint planning, or to close sprint planning, was, is there any issues that need to be addressed? Now, I will own that what I was expecting them to say was, maybe Eric goes, I can take on some more work, right? Or something like that. Instead, what happened was one of these team members went, will you please let us help? Now think about that for a second. Here I'm expecting that they're all slacking. Maybe, a common phrase, people, they're twiddling their thumbs, right? I'm totally in that headspace. And the reaction was, will you please let us help? And it was directed towards Paul and Sue. Turns out the issue wasn't that they were slacking or not willing. What was happening actually, and I figured this out from that discussion that then ensued, was they kept thinking Paul would take, I'm faster at this. It's just easier if I just do it. Or, I'll just do this one. And before anybody else could even volunteer, they had already sucked up all the work. And so they were right to be frustrated in that they had too much work, but they had been contributing to that problem as much as maybe trying to just blame somebody else that they weren't stepping up. Using this information radiator, simply doing a screen that looked like this, helped that discussion to actually happen. If I had gone down the path of assigning tasks, resentment would have taken place and lack of shared ownership. If I had gone down the task of like punishing, especially like Arvinder or Derek or something, issues would have happened because they didn't deserve to be punished. They weren't doing anything wrong. They were responding to how the system was happening. They were responding to what was happening. And there was a power dynamic going on with Paul and Sue that prevented the discussion. This single information radiator elevated that discussion, made it okay to have the discussion, made it not only okay, almost necessary. Like it was too obvious. But my question wasn't judging of, Derek, do you have something to say? Wasn't anything assuming any issues. It was very open-ended to see what the team wanted to elevate. So that's one example. I want to give you another example. This example really helped the conversation happen to address the real root issue. The next one I want to talk through for a second is, and let me set the stage for this one, is more on a personal front, but some of you can, it will relate to the workplace as well, in many ways. So I've been with my husband now for 23 years. We've been married for 19 years. In fact, we just celebrated 19 years, like less than 2 weeks ago. And we were 5 when we met. That's what I'm going with, okay? Because I don't want to actually own my own age. Don't look closely. The grays are all there. It's just the video helps if I stay a distance away. And so what we've been together for a long time, and we'd have something that we call let me rephrase that. We didn't have this. I had something that we would call the honey to-do list. And that meant, honey, please do this activity or task that I've asked you to do. He would not do it, and I would get mad. We had this reoccurring honey to do fight. I can't even tell you how many times. A lot. And one day it was particularly bad. And this was a long time ago, about, I don't know, maybe 7 years into our marriage, 8 years into our marriage. And he responded with, don't treat me like your employee. And I said, I'm not, you be fired. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. We were fighting. Okay. But I got to work the next day, furious still. and went, you know what, maybe I should treat home a little bit more like how I treat work. And so I came home and I proceeded to put up a board. Now I will own that I was a little passive aggressive about this board, meaning I did not explain to my husband what this board was. I did not tell him what I was doing. I just genuinely put up a board and I labeled to do, in progress, and done. And then I started listing up the tasks. And, and for most weeks, I would get the tasks, I would put my name on them, right? Like I would be like, okay, Trisha's working on these ones and it'd be fine. And then I would get these ones and they'd all be done. Everything was good. Beautiful, right? And then the next week came and there would be some tasks to do, but again, not a big deal. I'm putting my name on them. Keep in mind, I still have not explained to my husband what any of this means. I'm just doing it on the board, but I stick again my name on it and I move them to done and everything's good. And then, it wasn't that long into it, but it was a while into it. And then all of a sudden, you have that week. You know that week that I'm talking about where I swear it's not just like one thing. All of a sudden, it feels like the things are like multiplying and they're multiplying in ways that you're like, how is there this much to do? I don't understand it. And so as I start putting the stuff up, I'm like, okay, it's heavy, but maybe it's kind of doable. And I start moving stuff over, but he's noticing a trend that the more that ends up in this to do that I don't seem to be able to handle, the crankier his wife was getting. And so as I was getting things done, but before I could even get this stuff done, more stuff was coming and more stuff's coming up there. And all of a sudden I'm completely overwhelmed. So cranky is not the word I would use for myself in that moment. Totally not happy, right? And then as I'm trying to get something done, I've got something over here. I'm trying to get it done. All of a sudden, he pulled a task and he put his name on it. People, I have never found my husband more attractive than I did in that moment. Like, it was truly a deep breath that came out. And I had to stop and actually really reflect on why. Why was I having such a visceral reaction to this? All I'm using is an information radiator. He picked up one task. I have already done so much. He's done one thing. Why am I so happy? And here's what I realized. Here's the other dynamic of information radiators. And when I say it helps not only with problem solving, but there's a shared ownership dynamic that comes with it. What I didn't realize is that most weeks I did have it all under control. And there was no visibility for my husband to know when I didn't or when I did, when I needed help and when I didn't. And yet I was mad for having to ask. I didn't want to have to ask. I wanted to feel like we were in a partnership. I wanted to feel like you could see the same things that I see that need to get done. Why do I have to tell you? But that wasn't always true. Maybe I got an email. Maybe I got the card request in the mail. There's so many reasons that maybe it's not as visible as we think it is. And so having this board allowed my husband to realize when I get cranky and why some weeks it was fine and other weeks it wasn't. And he couldn't understand why, because nothing was different in his mind. But also for me to own that I wasn't being visible. I was expecting help, but not making it to where he could do it without me having to ask. And so I was mad that I had to ask. Well, using this information radiator made it so that I didn't have to ask. He could see if this column was building. He could see if I needed help. He could decide which things he wanted to work on and pull things over. It made us actually have shared ownership of the work that needed to get done. And that's what a team's about. So using these information radiators to help the team spot problems, to help the team work together, to help the team have shared ownership, that's the power that you can really get from information radiators. That's where it comes from, not just, hey, we're tracking some metrics so that we can tell you if you're doing a good job or not. Or we can make ourselves feel better that we're guaranteed that we're going to make a date, which doesn't happen in knowledge work, but that's a different day for a different discussion. Don't be afraid to use these information radiators to help build those things, not just for status, not just for tracking. So hopefully this was helpful. If anything, maybe I'm going to have a new fight list for like highlighting and recording the second story, but you know, he loves me. It's been 19 years. He can't go anywhere. That's what I've told myself. Don't burst my bubble. Okay. So that's where we're going with this. There isn't a lot. There's only one public class left for this year, Leading Amazing Teams, that I do at Jake Calabrese. That is December 13th, which is like in just over a week. I do think there's like a couple spots left, maybe one or two. So if you're looking to do that, that's in there. The rest of it's actually into the new year. I do have and I don't do these very often. So I do have a public certified Scrum Master, Agile Fundamentals, the week of January 18th and 19th. I'm actually also doing a weekend, I think, somewhere coming up. But the one that I'm most excited about and I'm hoping for is the one that I want to do for paying it forward and helping people. So for people that are looking to start speaking, getting on and doing a live and doing these kinds of things, I'm doing an impactful training and speaking on January 20th and 21st. It's limited in class size. It's still got a number of seats. I think it's like about half full right now. So check that out if it's something you've been interested in doing or looking at or trying to even speak in front of your own company, not even doing this publicly like this, but just in your own organizations. I do have a couple more workshops coming on, but not till February. So and I also want to make a plug for, because I didn't have the name of it the last time and I felt so bad. Agile for Humanity virtual conference is happening in February. And I will be helping by running an advanced CSM for them on the 22nd and 23rd. So that's kind of what I've got coming up. Otherwise, I will see you in 2022. I'm considering and thinking about doing a few extra of these and not just once a month, but I'm looking for feedback on if that's of value. I don't want it to be too much, man. I'm sick of me, let alone anybody else is probably sick of me. So looking for feedback on that, but otherwise I will definitely be back. Is the first Friday of the month in September or in September. See, I don't even know what day it is. Actually, what day would I be coming back because of the holidays? So the first one coming back will probably be the 7th of January. So I did it. And with that, see you in 2022.